Hello, I'm Nelson Natrinda, and we are discussing the Kenya elections. The Kenyans are voting today, and in the next 2 days they shall know the next president. With me here is Mr. Wanyama Wanga. He has been involved in coverage of elections for very many years. He has an experience, he's very informed, and we're going to discuss the trend in the elections. We are going to discuss the issues that have been raised. We are discussing a number of things concerning the Kenya elections. In the next 2 days, we shall have known the winner and we shall know the next president of Kenya. So the elections have come. We've been waiting. It's finally the day for the elections. And at some polling centers, people were there by as early as midnight. So what does that mean? We talked about the mobilization, we talked about the vote and the strongholds and what was going to determine the winner. So what do you think? What is your assessment of the turnout?
Of course, it's too early to know the turnout because the polls close at 4. And it's only after 4 that you can know which area has registered how much turnout. But so far the voting is going on smooth in all the areas. In Nairobi, we've seen long queues. We've seen long queues at the coast. We've seen long queues in Central, which is the Kikuyu area. We've seen long queues in Nyanza. We've seen long queues in Western. And so the turnout looks to be good for everybody. But it's just a question of who will have the edge at the end of the day. You cannot know how the turnout will be until the polls have actually closed.
Yes, so is it too early to, for example, discuss about, we know that in Odinga's stronghold, there are about 8.2 million registered voters. And in Kenyatta's stronghold, there are about 7.9 million registered voters. Is it too early to predict which side has brought the highest number of turnout?
It's too early. And you see, this is an election going to be won on turnout. Because the numbers are so close, somebody with 7.5 million registered voters can win if he has, for example, a 95% voter turnout. And you can have 8 million registered voters, but if you are having 70% voter turnout, you lose the election. And that is what happened in the last time. Uhuru managed to mobilize higher voter turnout on his side. So that's what we are waiting to see this time around. So you have followed the campaigns, you have followed the speeches, you have followed the mobilization. They have at some point used even helicopters. Do you think the mobilization has been bigger given that the other time Uhuru won by 0.07%? Both sides have mobilized very well, but we shall only know the result of their effort after the polls close. That's when you see how many people voted in which area, in which counties. For example, if the vote turn-up in Western is good and the vote turn-up at the coast is good, it should favor Raila. That should be good news for Raila, because those are the two areas which let him down the other time. If you look at the coalitions, the way they are built, Uhuru and William Ruto, the president and vice president, have a smaller coalition in terms of the numbers, and that's why it is easier for them to mobilize turn-up, because you've got the Kikuyu and the Kalenjin. One is the president, one is the vice president. They know their sons are eating, so they turn up in very high numbers. But Raila's coalition is much bigger. It has got the Luo, you've got the Kamba, you've got the Luya, and you've got the Coast. So those are 4 groups. But the ticket can only have 2. And in this case, it has got Raila as president and the Kamba, a Kamba who is Kalonzo Musyoka as vice president. So voter turn-up in the 2 areas which are not in the ticket, that is Western for the Luya and the Coast, last time around was low. But they have tried to prepare it much better by putting Musalia Mudavadi, who is a Luya, to give him the number 3 slot in the campaigns and in the government to try and increase that voter turnout. But as they say, the jury is out. We shall know in the evening if Musalia has helped the voter turnout in Western Kenya.
Yeah, what is the position of the Kikuyu in the numbers? The Kikuyu and the other tribes, what is the position?
The Kikuyu are majority, and the Kalenjin, I think, are close second. So that's why you find that coalition is a bit strong. It's number 1 and number 2. But very close to them are the Luya, and then the Kamba, and then the Luo, and then the coastal people. So you've got the top 2 versus the next 4. Yes.
Does that give Odinga an advantage? Or
it should give Odinga an advantage, because if you look at in the actual numbers, he has an advantage. What lets him down sometimes is voter turnout, and which everybody hopes he has worked on it. Maybe he has worked on it. We shall know by tomorrow.
Yeah, and there's this issue of the biometric and all those things. Is it working well so far? Because there was worry that the man at the center of it has died, and therefore there's going to be a challenge. Is it working well now?
So far, the biometrics are working well. And if you look at the opposition, they have been pushing for the biometrics to work, because that is the only way you prevent ghosts from voting. Ghosts, that means that you prevent a polling station from using all their ballots, just trying to tick and put them into the box, and which happens in areas where there are strongholds. If people in village X all support a candidate, they can just decide to tick. So the opposition has been saying that the biometrics should work. Whoever votes should use his fingerprints, and only people whom you can identify with the fingerprints should be allowed to vote. When you look at the strongholds of Uhuru, and even in some strongholds of Raila, these are areas which registered 95% voter turnout. People believe those are figures which were inflated because people are not using biometrics. Question of people voting for dead people, that kind of thing, which can be prevented by the biometrics. So if the biometrics are working,
and so
far they have been working, you should see a drop of voter turnout in most areas to at least below 90%.
That every county has been given a coded ballot. So meaning a ballot from somewhere else cannot be used this side. Do you think that one is helping?
Yeah, it helps, but that works everywhere, even in Uganda here. If you go to the Electoral Commission, they will tell you that on a polling station in this village, these are the serial numbers of the ballots. So ideally, you should be able to check if you can open, but this can only be done if there's an inquiry. If you can open a ballot paper from a particular village, and it has got ballots which are of a serial number which wasn't sent to that village, then that is a case of ballot stuffing. That is the normal procedure in voting, that the ballots you send to a polling station have got a code and a serial number. It is standard practice, but
we have seen lines here in Kampala, people lining up at the embassy voting. Have they done it at every embassy, or they have used it to the embassies they can easily mobilize?
There are embassies which they mobilized. I know Kampala was one of them. I think they're also voting in Dar es Salaam. They are voting in the UK. What I know in Washington, in the US, they are not voting. At least there have been complaints. The US citizens in Kenya are not voting. Arrangements were not made to vote in the US. But the East African countries, nearly all of them are voting.
So are these results going to be announced at the embassy, and will they be transmitted to
yes.
specific counties, or they will go straight to the IEBC?
No, the diaspora was recorded as a separate voting code. It's not part of the counties. It is registered as a separate voting code. So when they announce the results, they will announce the results from the 47 counties plus results from the diaspora.
So that means for them they transmit straight to the IEBC?
Yeah, they transmit straight to the IEBC.
So we have only 3 hours the end of voting. So far the turnout is good, so far it's peaceful, can we expect that it's going to be one of the most peaceful elections? We have not registered any malpractices, we have not seen people being turned out. It seems everything is moving very well. Do you think it's because...
Even in 2007, everything moved very well. The voting moved very well. Usually the problem is with the announcing. Just wait for the announcement. If the announcement is smooth, there will be no problem. If there are problems with the announcing, for example, if the electronic transmission of votes begins to fail, you will see problems. But we hope it will be smooth. The voting is never an issue. Even the counting at the polling station is never an issue. The problem is usually the totaling of the votes, the transmission and the totaling of the votes. That's what you should look out for.
The Kenyans are still voting, and in the next 2 days we shall have known the winner, but we shall keep you updated on what is happening in the country. I'm Nelson Natrinda, and you're watching New Vision TV.